Hi, everybody. You are listening to Judging Meghan with your host, Meghan Judge. If you are watching on YouTube today, let me see what this says. Okay, no, we're good. If you're watching on YouTube today, I just got out of the shower before talking to Leslie because it is I don't have air conditioning right now. It is so hot in California, in the Manhattan Beach area where I live right now. We're having a heat wave. And I went on my speed walk with my dogs this morning, and it was so hot. So I'm still trying to cool down. I also went on my long walk because I am struggling in these times. I talk about this now pretty much every episode on what's next. What is about to happen? How do we, and I might bring Leslie in really quickly before I introduce you. I like to do that. I like to leave it a mystery until I give people your actual name and what you do. But just what is going on? It's every single day. It's something new that I'm sitting here watching on TV this morning that they went to John Bolton's house. I grew up in Potomac, Maryland. And they went to his house and they were looking for files and like all this stuff. It's just every day I get so much anxiety watching TV. So I now consciously literally limit it to like 15 minutes a day because my mental health really, really cannot take it. Leslie, I'm going to bring you in and maybe get your perspective on this as well, if you don't mind.
I'm happy to share.
Okay.
I mean, I'm with you. I think, and I'm surrounded by people that are feeling the same way. This is when we need each other the most, right? We can't be alone. We need to keep doing what we need to do in our work and our families, but we also have to stay aware and alert and see what can we do in small ways to protect everyone and to stop the craziness.
I mean, and if you sit, what kills me, and by the way, I forgot to say that Leslie, I'm going to introduce you. Well, I'll introduce you right now because it's like this big mystery that I'm holding over everybody's heads. So Leslie Grossman is an executive coach. She's an author and she is a professor as well. She is also the sister of one of my favorite people in the world named Beth Grossman, who is a publicist that I have now worked with for probably I would say I've been doing this almost 5 years. So it's almost my anniversary of podcasting. And I've probably been working with Beth for 3 out of those 5 years. And there is nobody that makes me happier than Beth, your sister. Oh. She's just such a delight. And anytime I get an email from her, because I know she feels the same way we do, it's always like, Meghan, I love you. And I'm like, I love you. One day we're going to meet. And she's just so genuine and generous that she makes me, when I see an email come into my inbox from her, I immediately have to open it because she's one of those people that will do anything for somebody else. Like I introduced her recently to a young girl that's trying to get into like publicity or fashion or entertainment. And I said, do you mind just talking to her? She's like, of course, I'm going to start sending emails to everybody. She's the best. Beth, I love you. I know that you're probably going to listen to this one, so I adore you. Thank you for being you.
Well,
go ahead,
Leslie. If I can just say what goes on between you and Beth, that's collaboration. This is what we all need. And, it's supporting each other. And,
yes.
And that isn't just because of the craziness. Beth and I have learned that from our parents.
Okay.
I mean, that's when it all started. We watched them and saw how their lives were better because they helped other people and other people helped them. And that's what circles of collaboration, which we haven't even mentioned yet.
We haven't talked about yet. That's why you're on today. So sorry, Beth, it's not a podcast about Beth Grossman, but I just had to say that because I love her so much. Your book, Leslie, is called Circles of Collaboration. Yes. So we're going to be talking but it's a perfect intro into your life and where you guys grew up. And I have to know why she's as wonderful as she is. And I'm assuming you're just as wonderful, because when she said, do you want to have Leslie come on? I said, of course, anything for my favorite person. So tell me about yourself. Tell me about, before we get into your book, tell me about growing up. Tell me about your parents. I would love to know that.
Yeah. I mean, my parents were a typical head of a family at the time that we were growing up, in the 60s, the 50s, the late 50s. And really, but they were people they grew up in New York City and they moved to York, Pennsylvania, the rural place. And then my dad started a business. My mom was at home, but she helped him with certain things. The point was, they built a new life all because they surrounded themselves with people that they supported and other people supported them. Beth and I got to watch that unconsciously. It's only now that I've developed this strategy, which I really developed 25 years ago, that differentiated networking from building circles of collaboration. And I realized in looking and writing a book, you begin to say, well, where did this start, right? And I got to look back and say, well, I really observed my parents, what they used to do. They were always helping people, but it wasn't one-sided. Other people were also returning it. And I think that's the way things used to be. I really do. And communities took care of each other. And over the years, it seems to have changed, where people became much more, take care of me, help me, do this for me, do that for me. But somehow I never lost what they had, and neither did Beth. And so I've been, as a leadership coach, I teach, this is part of my program that I teach to women and men, how to build relationships that will benefit you while you are helping others at the same time, because no one succeeds alone.
Okay, I love everything about this, and I think it's so important just in life in general. And what I wonder is, because I have a lot of people that reach out to me, or I have to network for what I do as well. But sometimes, selfishly, when somebody reaches out to me, it's because I really enjoy collaborating and just doing things for people. Mm-hmm. It's something I learned from my dad. Mm-hmm. My dad passed away when I was 13, and he used to say, be happy by making other people happy. Beautiful. That's how he lived his life. And he was just the most amazing human being. He was an orthodontist. He treated, the poor, he treated priests for free that couldn't afford it. He was just that's what he did. Yeah. And so I am, P.S., no saint whatsoever, and I am a total hothead, and you do not want to be behind me in traffic or cut me off. But so I'm no saint, but I just genuinely love doing that. It makes me feel good. And I feel like Beth is the same way, and I'm assuming you are as well. So, but the collaboration piece is something that is so needed right now and so much missing, because I sometimes feel taken advantage of a lot. Yeah. And a little bit heartbroken because I'm so sensitive that I'll be well, I'm always doing this, this, and this. And, and why, when I ask, it's not returned. So I would love to get your input on that, of that people just expect stuff from somebody else, but it's we're always let down. Can you talk about that?
I mean, yeah. And it is there, that happens to a lot of those of us who are givers, But the interesting thing is, and there's research on this, Adam Grant wrote a book called Give and Take. And in that book, he has the research that proves that the people that give are the ones that are not only the happiest, but they are the most successful. And the takers are not. They might appear to be successful, but they're not. And so it's really it's a skill that we need to teach people, because collaboration is how we're going to save the world, quite frankly. Okay. And,
Yeah.
we're going to save the world. We're going to save our careers. And when you picture, like, for instance, if we go back a little, over 300,000 people lost their jobs this year just from actions that were taken at the federal government, right? How that affected. Those people might be nice people, but they never built relationships outside where most of them, I don't want to say all of them, but most of them, and I know this because quite a lot of them come through the program that I teach at GW. I teach them that because they always thought, well, I'm always going to work for the federal government, right? I'm not going to need to build relationships outside my coworkers. And then suddenly this happens and they don't have jobs and they have nobody to open a door for them. And they might be highly skilled. So what I'm kind of showing is how this carries on from the personal into the professional. We need to be doing it in both our personal life and our professional life. And I believe that it starts with the conversations that we have, teaching people to have real, authentic conversations again.
Okay, let me interrupt you with that because I'm a big talker. That's probably why I do this, because I think it's a really good point. They do not teach in school, right? In college. So if you have a trade, like in the federal government, I don't know, like you did something with computers, you might be the smartest kid. You might have gone to MIT or Harvard. But if you cannot communicate because believe me, I was no genius in college. I think I went on as a theater major in college with like a 2.0. I'm joking. I wasn't that bad, but I graduated. But my skill is I've always been able to talk to people and fake it till I make it. These kids, like you're saying, they don't teach what you do. They don't teach the collaboration. They don't teach the communication. They don't teach like scratch my back, I'll scratch yours in a way. And so I do think I would love to get your perspective on what you're teaching these people that have lost their jobs right now, because there's so many of them. And these are, I'm assuming, younger people that are, being forced in, I mean, not all of them, but I'm on LinkedIn, for example. Right. I'm talking about the people that lost their positions, but I have a very small network. Where do I go now? Do I need to go into a new field? Can you touch on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and by the way, they're not all young people. That 300,000, there are a lot of very senior people that just thought they would be in the federal government for their entire life.
And retire and they don't have any other skills, right? So you're seeing a lot of that.
Exactly, but all ages. And so, but the younger people, it's even worse because they don't even have a clue how to have a conversation at all because they've been they're texting. I mean, that's their conversation, and that does not work out in the world when you need. And that's why you're hearing high numbers, by the way, of young people. That's part of it that are not getting jobs, and that plus AI reading everybody's resumes, right? I mean, and throwing everybody out. So really, it's teaching people to. First of all, I talk about a couple of things. We need, and you already have this. You have this at A+++++, curiosity. You're curious about people. People need to be curious about other people instead of talking about themselves. And they'll go into a conversation and say, well, I do this, I do that, when really what they should be doing is, tell me about you. I want to hear about you. Because you can't make a relationship between two people unless you can find something common between you. So start with being curious about the other person and asking them all about themselves. What matters to them? What's important to you? Tell me why you're here. Why did you come to this event? Why, all the questions. And then you can say, and listen. That's the other thing. Listen. Don't be in your head thinking, oh, the next question I'm going to ask is this. Truly listen. Then you can say, that's so interesting you said that. Let me tell you, we have a lot in common. Here's what I'm up to. After you've been curious about them. That's how you start to build that real connection between people. And I think people, maybe they didn't do it exactly that way back in the day, but they were more interested in people. they took their time. Now we're like in a hurry, right? Network. Oh, give me your card. Give me your card. I mean, the old networking, which did nothing really, very zero, no collaboration. So it's really learning and then being able to say, wow. So tell me what's going on with you? How's business? How's your business? Who are you focused on? And then by asking that question, I can say, I know somebody that you might like to meet. That's kind of the way, that's the way it really should go. Now, that might not happen in the first conversation, but if all you're going for is one-offs, you're not building a circle, because circle is having people around you that care about you and you care about them. And I call that the inner circle, actually.
Don't you think that I love that you brought up curiosity? There's a great book. I had the author on. His name is Dr. Mark Williams. He wrote, I think the book's called The Human Connection. And he talks all about this exact thing. I mean, it's with like technology, AI, we're losing out. Our brains are like melting as we speak. Our suicide rates are the highest they've ever been. It doesn't help with what's happening. But the curiosity piece, being curious is a gift. It's a gift. And how boring to walk through life and not want to truly know about other people. It selfishly helps us. Yeah. So doing this podcast every week, sometimes I'm not in the mood because I talk a lot about grief and loss and that kind of stuff. And I might not be in the mood. I might be like, I don't really feel like I don't want to talk to somebody for an hour today. I'm maybe not in the mood to feel sad. But I can tell you, listeners, and you, Leslie, that I would say 99% of the time that I do an episode, I walk away and I go, wow, like my life is better today. I'm going to have a better day because I just met that person. And it all comes back to exactly what you're talking about, which is the curiosity piece. If you're not curious, you're cheating yourself, I think, right?
Absolutely. You absolutely are cheating yourself, because that curiosity is part of the connection with the other person. Then you see, oh, we have something in common. We're alike. I'm not alone. We feel the same about this. And that is the burnout often comes from, being alone or not being connected. You might be surrounded by people, but if you're not connected with those people, you're still burned out.
Okay, talk about the burnout, because that's something you talk about in the book. I would love to know about the burnout.
Yeah, I mean, the burnout comes from really feeling that you're not connected to people, that people don't understand you, that you're alone. And oh yeah, maybe they have troubles, but they don't understand what you're going through. But that happens because you're not willing to share. And when you share, and when you hear other people's stories, you can share yours. And that immediately starts to reduce the burnout. And also, we have to get out of our homes, out of our offices. We have to get to nature. We have to, instead of meeting somebody, doing a Zoom, say, if they're in the area, let's take a walk together. Let's get out there.
Amen. Yeah, exercise. It's so good I go on my walks. I talk about it with my listeners every single week. I went on a walk, I just told you in the beginning, with my dogs, I love my dogs. And when I live by the beach. I love that you say that, because there's nothing better than connecting than even in business, because I was in sales for a very long time.
That's what I'm talking about. Business.
Yeah, like you're on the Strand. I live on the Strand. I'm very fortunate to live where I do and walk the Strand. There is nothing better. So I think that's huge. So you're saying get out, don't have a meeting in an office.
Right.
Get outside.
Exactly. I mean, meet somebody for a walk and a coffee. Take your coffee with you. I mean, that's, and have nature, air, even if you're in a city, it's still, you're really surrounded by a buzz of energy, which is positive too. So we need to take care of ourselves. And it's a combination of that curiosity, that conversation, the nature, getting out of your usual surroundings, and just do that. And that makes a difference. It makes a difference how we feel, and it allows us to move forward with our careers. And ask for help each other. Ask. Don't be afraid. Often we're afraid to share that we're vulnerable, right? The vulnerabilities we have. And be willing to say things are tough. And here's why. And, and hopefully you had enough of a conversation to feel it's safe with that person. That's the goal, is to be able to do that. And that immediately addresses your burnout, because you say, that person gets me. They may have made, a suggestion, even if you don't like it, just the fact that they care. We need to feel cared about, because we, and especially we women, we are taking care of everybody, right? We're taking care of our families. We're taking care of our extended families, our friends. We're in the office. We seem to be the caretaker there too. I mean, we're worried about, we have, because our brain, the way our brains are, we can think about so many things at the same time. Men are not, their brains are different. I mean, you've probably had people on that have talked about it. They're linear thinkers. They're able to disconnect much more easily than we can. They think about one thing at a time. And this is the truth. I mean, they have different, and there's scientific research on this.
This is why we should be leading the government. I mean, there's so many, but it's like having a conversation. It's a great point. I adore my husband. We've been together for 25 years. Yeah. We met in our 20s. But women, and I've talked about this, we are chatters. We love to talk. We love to talk about our emotions. It's one of our biggest strengths, I think, where, like you're saying, men are very cut to the chase. It's this task and that one. So with my husband, sometimes I'll say, how do you feel? What do you, and he'll just go, what do you talk? They cannot do it. They cannot do it. And it's, what's that book? What men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
Right.
It's that whole thing. They just think differently.
They think differently. I mean, I know the same thing with my husband, and you can guide them a little bit, and they can change a little bit, but it's a physical thing in their brain. It just doesn't come natural to them. And that's just the way it is. That's why we need girlfriends too. Yeah. Because they can think like we do. But we have to be just taking care of ourselves in every way, whether it's for business or in our families. We need your girlfriends to talk about things with the kid. One of my closest business friend, and I am talking about going back over 20 years, maybe longer. We got close because at the same time we were having challenges with our sons. And she got through it. And so she got through it, and she told me how she got through it. And she said to me, don't worry, your son's going to be fine. Here's how I did it. And of course, both of our sons are successes now, but at the time it was like, oh my God. But if I hadn't had her, I would have gone crazy. And then now to this day, we're still helping each other in business. Yeah. So it's the business and the personal has merged together.
Okay. So let me ask you, so you're saying curiosity, we talked about the burnout piece. We were talking about the connection piece, in business specifically. Yes. So I'm going to give you an example for what I do.
Yeah.
So sometimes I have publicists reach out to me. I work with a bunch of them. The ones, and I hope they're not listening, but the ones that just go, hey, here's this. Or they say something to me like, I love your podcast. I listened to such and such episode. This is going to make me sound obnoxious, and I'm not, but I'm giving an example. Yeah. So please don't think my ego is huge, because no, believe me, not. But they'll be like, I listened to this episode and I want you to have this person on. Me. Yeah. I go, unless it's a really interesting topic of somebody, the actual guest, I go, but if it's somebody like your sister, and she starts it with, I listened to this episode, because I also can tell if they listen to the episode.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like in business. So I'm using this. That's why I'm
Right,
saying this.
right.
But if it's like, I listened to the episode and you can tell because of something they say, and then they use the connection piece. They say something like, I don't even know what it could be, but just something like, I went through, PTSD for this reason, and they personalize it. Then guess what happens? I go, wow, I really like this person. I want to work with them.
Right.
Sometimes I might not even be like that thrilled about the guest, but it's because of the publicist
That's right.
sending me someone. So I wanted to use that example because I think it feeds into what we're talking about, right?
Yes, we want to do business with people that we like and respect and can connect with.
Okay, so talk about that in like if you were teaching a class, talk about like another example. Like let's give an example of these people that horrifically all lost their jobs and should not have.
Yeah.
So can you give me an example from that?
Yeah, well, an example from that, I would advise them to get on, to reach out to people from their past that they haven't talked to in a while, and check in with them and say, look, you're somebody that I think about from time to time, and I really want to know what's going on in your life. How are you doing? Please tell me. How's your job? How's your family? I just want to be here to hear all about you. And, really start it with sincerity, and be sincere about it, because you want to know. And then when you know what's going on, you can say, gee, it's so funny. I hear you. I hear you because I had an experience. I mean, that's when we're curious and when we're reaching out. And a lot of these people, they have to reach way out. I'm telling you, the only people that they're surrounded with, except for maybe a few friends here and there, spiritual friends or this one, they need to go back to their professional friends and who were friends and show them that they care about them. Maybe they didn't think about them for 10 years. But now they're going to need to start thinking about them, and they're going to, and it's okay, because in their case, they should be helping each other.
Do you think like they should start, like for that example, somebody in their head might be like, oh, you're only reaching out because you want something from me? Do you think that they think that? Because you talked about the fear piece of it,
right?
Where if they say, I'm going to be honest, I'm just asking out of curiosity. I don't know if you know this, but many people have lost their jobs. And I know you haven't heard from me in a while, but I'm going to just put myself right out there and say, this is why I'm reaching out. But also, you're somebody I've been thinking about over the years, and I'm in a pickle right now. I have a family. I need to make a paycheck. Something like that.
Yeah. Well, the first half of what you said, yes, is good.
Okay.
I would not go into how desperate
so you don't want the desperation.
No,
piece.
because the desperation means to the other person, oh, you're really not interested in me. You're just doing it for that reason.
Got it.
So it would be more, you could certainly say, things are tough here. I lost my job. It's making me think about the people that I respected, and you're one of them. You're one of them, be honest from that standpoint. I'm feeling alone, and I really want to reconnect with people that matter to me, that have mattered to me in the past. And you're one of those people, and I really want to hear about you. And maybe we can help each other, So that would be, because the minute you go into the poor me, the other person feels, okay, this is all about them, not about me. Everybody wants to feel that they're important, right? Yeah. Not just being useful or used. And it's kind of finding the conversation that does that.
So tell me for the book, number one, why did you decide to write a book now? Like, how long was this process of writing this book?
Well,
Has this been something?
It's actually my fourth book, believe it or not.
Oh, okay. Well, let's hear about your other books and why this book now, because I do want to know that.
Well, the first book I wrote was called It was actually called about sensational women, and it was a marketing book. And I had a marketing agency at the time. That's when I wrote that, how to market to women entrepreneurs and executives. So that was book one. Because there were a lot of companies that had no idea how to do it back then when I wrote that book. The second book I wrote, which actually was a precursor to this book, was called Link Out. And it was written at the time that LinkedIn was starting to become popular. And it was actually the counterpoint to LinkedIn. It was about reaching out and building, real relationships. So that was the first one I wrote, and social media was just starting to get going at that time. Then I wrote, actually last year, a book called Start with Vision. That's a whole other podcast. I mean, it's about how we all need to have a vision of how we can make a difference in the world, and how we can
come back. I want to talk about it. Yeah. And now you're on.
And now it's like, once you have your vision and you want to make a difference, how do you do that? You need to have a circle of collaboration to do it. And that was why I have a co-writer in this, because it was written right on top of the previous book, Start with Vision. And quite frankly, it was too much for one person to do all by themselves. And I have a great co-writer on it that her ideas, who was new to the concept, but has totally embraced it. So, we need it. I really felt that we need it more than ever. People have to get away from relying on technology and start to build these personal relationships again for their lives, for their personal lives and their professional lives. And that's what we're going to need going into the future. And we need to be the examples for our children, because otherwise, how the heck are we going to get off of these devices, which are very dangerous at this point? I mean, I think that's my opinion.
Oh, I mean, look at all of there's more data than ever before about what the phones and devices are doing to our brains. It's causing early onset dementia. Like, there's so much information out. And, I'm addicted to my phone. I have a teenage daughter that's 15 that's heavily addicted. So I learned my lesson with my younger one.
Right.
But talking to people, communicating is so important. So when it comes to the actual book, what are like the biggest takeaways that people can learn about the collaboration piece? Like, I have a friend, I'm going to give you an example. I cannot ask a short question. Sorry if you don't know that yet. One of my dearest friends left an abusive marriage. Okay. And she basically had to start from scratch. She put herself back into school. She's in graduate school. She had worked. She's now coming to the end of graduate school. She's very smart. She ran a company, but then was out of the workforce for a decade. And now she's going back in, but she is going to have her MBA. What would you say to somebody like that comes into your class or is just listening right now?
Yeah, I would say, go, if you're just coming out of a degree, you need to be going back and making sure, how many relationships did you make while you were getting that degree? It's not too late for you to go back there. What professors did you respect? What, people that maybe you didn't even start to have a relationship, should you be going back to now and going in and meeting with them and talking to them? It's not too late. I mean, often the people in academia can actually connect you with people that can get you into a job, because they've been teaching all these people, right? And they're all in the workforce. So I would tell her to do that. It's like, you need to be thinking all the time. Every week, you need to be having 1 to 2 conversations with people and really getting to know people in a deeper way, forming a relationship, sharing with them, asking them, looking for ways to help them. I mean, it's got to be a part of you, at the top of your to-do list every week to do that. And you go back just in the last year, if it's someone like that, because it's recent, right? There were other students there that maybe you might have liked them then. Don't give them up because you're not in school anymore. Yes, keep it going. Think of family members. Think of people you might have met at the gym. What are the circles that are around you now where there are people that you had something in common with and are in the professional world that you should go and have conversations with and tell them what's important to you and ask them about, to tell you their story about them. So it's like immediately jump into that. That's the number one thing, because you're going to feel rejected if you start sending your resumes out and AI keeps rejecting you time and time again. And that's what's happening to people right now. You're going to get a job through someone that you know, that's someone that knows you, or someone who knows you. That's how it's going to
you
happen.
think that's you personally, so if you have a student, I'm sure you've helped connect a million students with jobs, right?
I have.
Go ahead. I would love to know about that.
I mean, yes, I connect them with people that they can have an in-depth conversation with, and that person will connect them. You know, in other words, I know all the people that have taken my programs know how important this is. And sometimes I know the jobs, but it's not even just like, I kind of think of it like the solar system. You're the sun. You are the sun in your own solar system. The planets are the people in your circle that are around you, right? But every planet is also surrounded by stars and moons. You can get to those stars and moons through the people that are represented by the planets. You could never get to them on your own, but you can get to them because the people that you know are close and have trusted relationships, and they're going to open the doors for those things. So
what's the biggest key takeaway? I keep holding up the book and doing a bad job. Sorry.
That's nothing you're doing
of the actual book, like this, your fourth, and I'm sure going to be your most successful book. Go ahead.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I would say that caring about people and showing them how interested you are in them and learning how to have a conversation that makes the other person feel great is the key. But the second key is it's okay then, once you've built the trust, to ask for yourself too. That is the key. And it's all about that. It's the conversation that is the magic. Knowing how to have a collaborative conversation will build a circle around you. That's the truth.
I also can tell that you love what you do.
I do. I love it because I love it that it makes such a difference in people's lives.
And that's the key to it too, listeners, right? We all have to make a paycheck. We all do things in life. I knew when I was young and I was the worst bartender and cocktail waitress on the planet. And I had to make the paycheck, because I was pursuing acting and all this stuff. But I made connections, and it was like to the next thing and then to the next thing. If we just kind of would teach what you do in school, right, from a young age, I think it would be huge. It would help everybody's mental health. Right? Because these kids now are just in school, then they go straight home to their devices. It's every time I've tried to work with somebody in, whether it be sales, when I was in my long sales career, or now I do this, and it's looking at a device, not looking up, not connecting.
Yeah.
It's always kind of a major letdown. So I love what you do. I wish that you would start teaching this in grade school, because I think it's so needed right now, especially in this world with all the divisiveness and all of the craziness, all the lies, all the violence. I love the idea of getting back to what our parents taught us, because I think it's huge.
That's right. I mean, right now, I do this at GW, but it's for executives. I really want to go into universities and colleges and teach students, because they're, juniors and seniors in college, because they're at a point there where that could make the whole difference of whether they get a job or not when they leave. And they're not getting jobs now. The numbers are poor, and it's also going to change their lives as adults. So, and the parents, hopefully we should have conversations with our children and teach them to have these kinds of conversations best we can.
Well, I think it's so huge because, again, like everything you're saying is like why we're meeting today, right?
Yes.
Is because I met your sister because she was, we started collaborating and now we've been collaborating for friends. And then it turned into like this dear friendship where we've never met in person. But she's somebody that, she sent me an email, I think yesterday, and it was just so kind. And it's this person that I just adore. And it all started for technically business purposes, because she wanted an author on to sell a book. And now I'm writing my book and she's trying to help me with my book. And it's just, that's all, this is everything you're saying is so important, so huge, so needed, everyone, for what we're going through in the world. Like you just said, our younger generation, they can't afford housing. I live in California. Like they need to be able to find jobs. This is the human connection. That piece is what's going to save, I believe, what's going to save us right now. Yes. So Leslie, I just got this book in the mail yesterday. I am going to read it. I might even make my 10th grader read this book right now as a little study. Circles of Collaboration, Leslie Grossman. By the way, I have to end with this. Whatever skincare regimen you're doing on your skin, you look beautiful and young, and I need to know what it is. So offline, you need to share that. And my listeners are probably also thinking the same thing, or my YouTube people that are watching. It was such a delight talking to you today.
Oh, well, thank you. This was amazing getting to know you. I mean, Beth adores you, and I can't wait to have a conversation off camera and off podcast together.
Well, now we're friends.
We are.
So, and one day we will all be meeting in New York City.
Yay.
And we will all go out for like a coffee, drinks, whatever. And we will be having a circle of collaboration. Little plug there. Thanks everyone for listening. If you're so inclined, please do me a favor, listeners, and leave me a review. It takes 2 seconds. I'm bad at asking. So you if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, go to the tab. It should say, you can scroll down through the episodes and it can say, leave a review. Please leave me 5 stars, write something, anything like about an episode you liked. That you think that Leslie looks beautiful and like her glasses, whatever it is, just can you please do me the biggest favor and do that for me? I love all of my listeners. I love hearing from you. You light up my life, especially in these dark times, I think. And I'm just not going to let these times ruin me and ruin what my podcast is about and who I am and who we all strive to be, which is kind, good people, hopefully, if you're listening. And we can, just with our small actions, like reaching out to somebody, change somebody's trajectory for their whole day. You never know, you could change somebody's life just by the smallest actions, because that's what we need right now. So thank you, Leslie.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, my dear friend Beth. I adore you. And everyone, keep going. You matter. Your story matters.
Judging Meghan with Meghan Judge.